Alex behind the screen. Oh, it doesn't matter. You can hear me, but you'll hear me better in a little while. Talking points. Spurs for life. He's getting to the business end of the season. And so we get into the business end of the season in terms of doing this. But yeah, we're all good. Another episode 122 we're on. Let's do it.
It's just different.
I've got a feeling, Sam, that you've disconnected yourself.
Problem is
That's better.
Was I talking? No one heard anything at all.
Not a thing.
You know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do, people? We're going to do this.
It's just different.
Somebody told me you didn't hear one word I said then. So we're starting again. Episode 122. Here we go. That's the one. Title in a year. Is this where Spurs will be? Sound Spurs for life, making mistakes, even though he's 122 episodes in, it's still live. Here we go.
So if we can't laugh at ourselves, who can? You know?
I'm there chatting, listening to all the little gags I'm making, and no one can hear a word, and you're just thinking, what is he doing? Anyway, welcome. Tottenham Tifosi, 61. Sean, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm supposed to be packing to go away on holiday tomorrow, but I haven't lifted a thing yet. So I'll be busy until the early hours, no doubt.
No doubt indeed. Well, we'll be here briefly. Well, there's games on. Chelsea winning 1-0, by the way. That's the scoreline. Just happened. They've kicked off recently. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Chelsea. We're here to talk about Spurs. How are you feeling after the performance on, when was it? When did we play? Tuesday, yeah. How are you feeling a couple of days after that post West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I said during the reaction show that it was kind of we played okay. In fact, I felt we played better than we did against Luton. The only difference being is that we didn't lift the 3 points this time, you know, and it's disappointing. You know, we're aiming for 70 points plus. We've just made it a little bit more difficult for ourselves.
Definitely. I saw there was a thing that came out today on X. There's always stuff on X where I think we're 3 points off our final points tally for last season. You mentioned something like that the other day as well. So we're on what, 57 points now, are we?
Yeah.
Last season we were 60 points after 38 games, which got us 8th. We're likely to be better off this season, no doubt. I'm not sure that we can't. Even Tottenham, surely.
We're going to get 4 points between now and the end of the season.
Oh, let's not joke about it, Sean, because even Spurs, in as much as we've seen in both our lifetimes, we can't do that. Surely not. Anyway, let's just continue on with the show. Interesting comments come out. Interesting things have been out. Sorry if that was again, professionalism is not high on the agenda today. Interesting comments coming out of Tottenham at the moment. Obviously posted results regarding financial, another loss, but the CEO, chairman, whatever you want to call him, giving himself a £3 million bonus, if reports are to be believed. But we can surely find that out looking at the financial accounts. I know you've got your thoughts on ENIC, Daniel Levy, per se, Sean. But what's your thoughts when you see the money that's been paid to him, the profits, lack of? Obviously, then that has a spiraling effect in terms of the fans and supporters. Our season ticket prices are going up, however many percent it is. Life's not easy at the moment. What's your thoughts when you see those sort of things and you think about it in any sort of great detail if you do that?
Well, it's disappointing, isn't it? Because the price or the wage rise or the bonus is equivalent to the amount of money that they're supposed to be saving with the Seniors Cup, for example. And you know, it's always the same. If they wanted to shoot themselves in the foot, this club are like past masters at it. They made, I mean, you know, the headline figures are like half a billion pounds in revenue. Absolutely incredible, you know, amounts of money. However, they lost 86 million pounds over the course of that year. So you wonder, you know, I mean, it's very hard to decipher. I've watched other channels who are a bit more clued up financially than I am. But I suppose that, you know, the thing that's really intriguing for me, anyway, as a Spurs fan, is the fact that they're looking for new capital. They're looking for someone else to come and buy a portion of the club, or certainly that's I'm understanding from what other people are saying, that there's a proportion of the club, much like Ineos have done at Old Trafford for Man United, that's up for sale, and that's interesting. That's very interesting, because to me it kind of says Levy realizes that financially he cannot compete on his own, or ENIC cannot compete on their own, and they need more money.
Yeah, but then there's the things like the naming rights. We still haven't got naming rights for the stadium. I would have thought that could have been something that could have obviously had a big injection of cash. There's sponsorships abound anyway, we know that. But yeah, you're not really going to get major investment. If we're talking, what are we talking the club's worth? Approximately 6.
Well, there was an offer made by Sheikh Yassin, was it, of 3.5 billion to buy the club.
100% club.
Yeah, to buy the club at 100. So you know, they're looking at a proportion of that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's going to dilute the ownership as well, you know.
Yeah. But if they turn that down, I'm just trying to think of what they think the value of the club is. We're talking about 4 billion, more than that, 4 to 5.
Well, I've seen figures upwards of 6. You know what I mean? I mean, they're you know, if you're thinking of if you look at the franchises in the NFL that are changing hands for £10 billion, and if you imagine, you know, the Premier League has a lot more, you know, goes further than the NFL does, much further than the NFL does. So maybe that's you know, maybe that's what they're looking at, though, that kind of figure. But obviously, I think they've realised that they haven't got infinite amounts of money, and they're prepared to sell a proportion of the club in order to compete. And that's a positive spin, you know. That's a positive spin, you know.
That's a positive spin. Let's say, so I'm going to try to use some figures here. Let's say the club's valued at £5 million. And let's say they want to sell, to make again the maths easier, a 20% stake. They're looking for £1 billion. They're looking for £1 billion worth of investment, if we just go by those sort of numbers. Where do you think that money will then go? Because we know that the playing side is going to need some significant investment in it next season. However, that does have to be balanced up with FFP, for which I will say that Spurs have operated very well in that. There's people who are going to have their own opinions about Spurs and their spending, but we've never been close to, as far as I'm aware, any sort of FFP breaches, unlike some of the other clubs that we can name. We can name our closest rivals who may have, it did affect their spending over the January and the summer periods. But we seem to have a bit of a steady, or a step process. We seem to, each season we seem to spend a little bit more. Obviously, we had some big outlays with the manager Conte's. We've had to pay these managers off as well. So, you know, I kind of can see why we may not have spent as much as some people have got, or some people may have wanted us to. But if we get £1 billion in terms of investment, would you say there's no excuse then for us to then start suddenly saying, right, we can, because you have to obviously then balance that up with the income, his assets, blah, blah, all the rest of it. I'm not an accountant, don't profess to be, but £1 million coming into £1 billion potentially coming into the club could have some significant effects on what we do in the market. Do you think that would go into the plan, and how much? I'm not saying an exact figure, but do you see a lot of that being put into the team, Sean, the squad?
Well, I mean, all you could do is go on the pronouncements that accompanied the financial figures this year, and it is said that they want to invest in the team. You know, they said that they have spent a lot of money, and I think they put a figure of 600 million has been spent across the men's and women's team in the last wee while. But obviously, that's not enough. And they, you know, and whether with this new structure, with the new people on board, they've had much more full and frank conversations, and they now know that, you know, the task ahead of them is quite significant. Maybe that's why they're now, you know, actively, as it says in the thing, talking with investors. Where that money's going to go, I mean, that's, you know, that we can only speculate, can't we?
It's not like we need a new stadium. It's not like we need a new training ground.
We've just paid off the training ground. The training ground is no longer on our debt. It's just the stadium, which has been secured long term at 2 to 3% interest, which is, like, in the current market, is nothing. You know, you have to take your hat off to Levy. He did a brilliant job on that.
The refinancing stuff. That's what I'm saying about us in terms of how we operate financially. Nobody can say as a club that we don't do things in a good sense. Obviously, we know what the potential of the stadium is. We know that the long-term plan and how they're going to pay that off is in place. So if you get a short-term investment of £1 billion, you won't be putting that aside to paying off the long-term debt of the stadium. As you just said, we paid off the training ground. What are we looking at then? What are we looking at in terms of the £1 million? It's just a kind of, all right, we now can do some more franchises as such. Can we now invest in areas, maybe potentially looking at more NFL sort of things, potentially putting things? I don't know what they would spend in order to create more revenue from an NFL perspective. Do they do anything to the pitch that hasn't been done already? These are the questions I would like to know if we then were to get, let's say, £1 billion in over the next 12 months. And the title of the show kind of touches on more than one thing. As I said, it's about where will Spurs be? Title of the year, is this where Spurs will be? Well, certainly if a lot of that money was spent towards playing staff in the summer and January windows, given what we've seen in the first 10 games, given what we're seeing at the moment where we are, would we be in a title contender come this time next year, Sean? More so than we are now.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I did smile when I saw the title and you said it to me earlier, because that really comes from a quote by Ange in an interview he's given, which he said that he expects us to be challenging for the title in a year's time. And, you know, this is a man who has he has no, say what you like about him, he has no shortage of confidence in his abilities and his methods, and he has got a track record. All right, not in the Premier League, in maybe what we would consider weaker leagues, but he has turned clubs around who've been moribund, you know, and you know, he has got an experience. I think you and I both agreed we've much enjoyed watching the football this season rather than last season. It's been a joy to go to the stadium and watch us, and as you already indicated, we're 3 points away from matching our points from last season with 7 games to go. So it'll be intriguing. I mean, it's very hard to say. I mean, we talk about the £1 billion. It depends who gives us the £1 billion, doesn't it? I mean, it might be that it'll be someone who's in a kind of, I think there's a great quote. One of the quotes here from our friend of the channel, Juice Nuts. I was mad. I think I was mad at Levy at first, but listening to Spurs Talk Show channel, it kind of made sense from what I initially dissected, and I saw that same stream. So yeah, Juice Nuts. I think Sean did do an excellent job on that.
But in what way did it make sense? In terms of why he was able to get that bonus from what he's done? Is that what we're talking about here?
No. What he was saying was in terms of investment. Sean just covered the investment, and he indicated where the investment might come. Sean's very much committed to a multi-club model.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that one of the potential partners was someone who's already got some interest in clubs dotted around Europe. So whether that's going to happen or not, but there are other people who just like the guy who was going for Man United up against Jim Ratcliffe. He's from all accounts he's still got a lot of money burning a hole in his pocket. He wanted to buy the club outright. He wanted to take it all over from the Glazers, but it just goes to show that there is money out there. My fear is that maybe international events could derail everything. Given particularly where international events are being derailed at the moment, in what part of the world, who knows? It's a difficult situation to predict.
Yeah.
But there are Enoch and Spurs. It's as ever. It's always a curate's egg, isn't it? You never know.
Enoch and Spurs. Sorry for I was only smiling because of this comment from Jews. Jews, you're one of the favourites on this channel. You know that. You know how have money soon. Sid with those TikTok views. Maybe he could be 20. He could own 20% of Spurs. Sid put his Adam Sandler thing up just for those viewers that don't know. Adam Sandler went to the game on Saturday, and he's got over nearly 30 million views on his TikTok. It's about 15 seconds long. Absolutely madness. It's craziness. If we could get £1 of each view, oh dear me, we change a lot. It would change a lot. I might even buy season ticket this. No, I'm not going to buy it. I'm joking. No, but like I said, if you ain't checked it out, go and check out Sid's TikTok, Sid Spurs. You can also look and find it on PRTv Spurs on our
Sam, what's happened to you? You've toned down. You've toned down your ambitions. I thought you'd be on the bench next to Ange.
As much as I would love to be involved with the Spurs, I know what a difficult job it is to coach, even at the lower levels that I have done. I couldn't imagine what the pressures of being on a day-to-day basis running a football club. I'd love to think I could do it, but it's not as we think. But Agent Poch, our favourite Agent Pochettino, is doing us a favour. It's 2-0 to Chelsea, by the way, against Manchester United. So that's all good for us. So far, so good. Sid will be part of the Prawn Sandwich Brigade soon. What are the chances of me getting with Beyonce? I forgot about Spurs for one night with her. Alex has got experience. That would be some experience indeed. No more to be said on that one. What do you make of them comments that Andrew made then? Because this is really what I wanted to kind of touch on in the time that we've got left. I'm all for things being very positive. I'm all for managers saying and shouting out what they want to do, how good they are. When we saw Ten Hag come in those couple of years ago, you said era's come to an end, blah, blah, blah. We've seen how it's panned out for him so far. But, you got to give him credit. He said what he said. Andrew's made no secret of his desire to believe that he will create over time a team capable of winning the league, or so he would like. And that's his desire, progress. You know, are we better? Are we in a better position than we were the game before? Can we look from, let's say, August to when we finish the season in May? Is there a change? Is there a positive change? Can you look towards next season to be better than we were this season? By all accounts, it looks like we probably will be, but that will still depend on the personnel that we have remaining and also the personnel that we get in during the summer and January. And it's going to be a big overhaul, I would imagine. We've seen some of it already. But even if we to get in, let's say 3, 4, 5, 6 players, which I think we'll need, are we going to be able to bridge that gap to be saying we can do what Arsenal did from the previous season to what they're doing this season, or even Liverpool? Because Liverpool weren't really contenders last season, but they are obviously this season. What's your gut feel as to where we would be, let's say, this time next season? Are we going to be closer, further away?
I don't think we'll be further away. I think I think we're here. I do feel that we're here to stay. We've got a very young team, just getting to know each other, trying to get into grips with the system. I mean, every day is a school day, as they say, and you learn things everywhere. How you and I. Well, I am not a fan of the school of stats, which seems to have made which has made nerds of football fans rather than just appreciating players for what they are able to contribute. But I think statistically we're better. We're not the basket cases even some of our own fan base seem to have. I mean, it's like every setback is like it's like famine or feast at Tottenham at the moment. And I just think it's like I say, I thought we played really well on Tuesday night. Destiny miskicks that shot and it goes in the corner and we win 2-1. It is those fine margins. I think Ange is putting pressure on the ownership and the transfer team and the recruitment. That this is where I expect to be in a year's time, and he expects to be comfortably in the top 4. I'd rather have a coach that speaks like that about my football club than someone like Conte who said he was doing us a favour just by being there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's have it straight. I'd rather have someone who wants to be there, but not only wants to be there, wants is looking upwards rather than looking behind them.
Sure.
So yeah, why not? Why not? Why can't we be challenging?
Okay, and I tend to agree with that in all honesty, because we've been in and around that top 6 for a number of years now. I know there's been 1 or 2 outliers in terms of our league position finishes, but you could really say consistently from, I guess, the Joel sort of era onwards, we've been in and around it. As I said, there's outliers. We've been very close. Obviously, the Leicester season was very close, and we've been third a few times as well. So, there is the potential to look back to say, yes, we should be, given our relatively short history of being in and around the top 4, with a better, I would say definitely a better philosophy, certainly a better style of play. I would say the feel-good factors around the club again, which wasn't there last season. We can all say it wasn't there last season. It was horrible to go to some of them games. But, and there's always buts in this conversation for me, there's a few things. One, we're only playing 1 game a week this season, roughly. If we want to do well in all competitions next season, there's going to be the potential for 2 games a week for a period of time. I know you are of the opinion that we want to and we should be winning a domestic trophy of some kind. My thoughts are, when I think about the way that Ange's teams are set up and having this conversation with Darius 3K, we might not necessarily be set up for a to be a cup team. And what I mean by that is not that we won't play the same way, because we will play the same way, but sometimes in cup games, depending on who you play, where you play, when you play, you might just have to do things in terms of changing the way you play to get through. Let's say, for instance, you've played a league game, then a Champions League game, and another league game, and then you've got an FA Cup game to play, let's say the week after, whatever it is, and you're going away to, I don't know, as a Wolverhampton Wanderers. I don't, just using them. You might have to rest a few players. You might have to have a different style of play, because the quality necessarily from the players that you've got, or the drop-offs per se, might not be as good. And I think what I've seen this season is that's where the Achilles heel would be for me. You know, I know Andrew's going to play the same way. We've seen that what he did with Celtic in the Champions League. Everybody said to a man that absolutely fantastic to see them a brave the way that he's played, but didn't have the quality at Celtic to be able to get too far. In fact, didn't get out of the group stages. But we should have more quality than that. But I will say that we need more quality in the players that are going to be backing up the first team players, because of the fact that we are going to have so many games. It looks like Fifth is going to get us Champions League next season anyway. I want to do well in the domestic cups. I don't want to be going out in the bloody third round of the League Cup. I don't want to be going out in the fourth round of the FA Cup. I do want to go quite far in the Champions League.
It was actually the second round of the League Cup anyway. But that was the first. But that was the first time we were in the second round for 19 years.
I even forgot that. That's because we finished 8th, isn't it? And I forgot it was the second round, not the third round.
Yeah, so there's another thing. This is the first year that we've been out of Europe for 19 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that
last year was the first time Arsenal had finished ahead of us for how long? 8 years?
Yeah, that was again.
Why can't we do what Arsenal have done?
You're right. We can. But then you have to look at the investment that they did make over the time that Arteta's been there. He has been supported. We know that previous managers have called for a lot more support and haven't received it. Poch being the prime example, when he got to a Champions League final. We can go on about what happened in that, but he did get us there. He did get us into that league race, and with Leicester, he was the one that did all that. But I didn't get the significant investment that he said he needed. Why do you think it's going to be any different for Ange?
Well, I mean, all you can do is go on our experience of the last 8 months. When he said he needed players early in January, what happened? What happened? He got the players that he needed early in January. So he's obviously well liked within the club. I think everyone says that, from Ali Gold to the guy that sits beside me in the south stand. You know, he's well liked throughout the club. He's unified a very fractured club in those 9 months. He's brought us exciting new players, new individuals. Now, one of the things that's going to happen this summer is that a lot of players will be a crossroads for them, because their contracts are coming to an end. They've got a year to go. Some will move on. It's already been identified. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg will move on. We'll get money for him. Others they have to make a decision about. The likes of Sessegnon, Lo Celso, other like that. You know, we need. You know, there is going to be an overhaul, whether we want it or not, and we may even lose players that we really like. Who knows? It's about regeneration. That's why the fact that Levy is talking to investors is quite exciting, because it's clear that we're going to need money in the summer.
So is this kind of like the signals of intent by putting out these sort of, I guess, because it's been put out into the media. Spurs, you know, I know they use the media well. They have done for a number of years. And this is no coincidence in this situation again here, having, you know, put this news out now, coming towards the end of the season, blah, 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 with people needing to renew their season tickets, etc., etc. It kind of makes you think very, very much like it's a process to get people to kind of think, yeah, they're going to be doing this. They're going to be spending money. Let's renew our season tickets. And then I've seen cynically in the past that hasn't materialized. Now, what I will say is it looks like we've got plans in place. We are going through not a type of play, but certainly an age profile. We're looking at real talented youngsters. You know, the likes of, what's his name? Bergwijn coming in next season. Lucas
Bergwijn, yeah.
Bergwijn, sorry, not.
Yeah.
I keep getting with Stevie Bergwijn. Bergwijn. So again, we're looking at talent. 17. Unless he's an Mbappe, I don't necessarily see him coming into the Premiership and making that difference to us. So we're going to need to have some experiences or experienced players. It's going to cost us money. It's going to cost us money. Do I see Spurs spending £200 million, £250 million this summer? Not sure. I'm not sure. But I do still think we'll spend significantly, but I do think it will also depend on who goes out. There's still a number of players, as we said, that need to go out. And I think that has to be the key. We can't have the books unbalanced because of, you know, players like, we've had Perisic, you know, he's moved off, and Dyer and all the effort Tangangas, Joe Rodon. There's a number of players still that need to be shifted. Gone. Bye-bye. Ryan Sessegnon. Bye-bye. See you later. Don't require. Manon Solomon, what are you doing here? We haven't seen you. Bye-bye. Get off. And then we can see what we're going to do. How much money do you think of potential 1 billion? I'm just thinking we need, I think, a striker. I think we need a wide player. I think we need more than one midfield, if I'm honest, depending on what Højbjerg does. And I certainly think we need at least one more defender. And we could also do with 2 fullbacks, in my opinion, because Ben Davies, as much as I love his professionalism, isn't getting any younger. Nobody does. And I don't think Emerson Royal is the answer long-term to replace for quality for Porro. What do you think is going to happen then? Is it going to be a case of we're going to continue on this process of talented youngsters, or are we going to do what Arsenal have done and say, right, Declan Rice or an equivalent 100 million, here you go. That's the difference. Are we doing that? Are you seeing that at Spurs?
Well, I certainly, Ange has already ruled out he's not going to spend £100 million on one player. He's already said, I'd rather spend £50 million on 2 players. You know, and I think, given our record, particularly under Levy, that's maybe no bad thing. You think about that disastrous summer window of 2019, after the Champions League, you know.
Disaster.
Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Jack Clark, and Ryan Sessegnon. You know, how's that worked out for us?
Do you remember the other one we had? The Magnificent Seven that came in when we sold Bale?
Yeah.
Lamella, and I think it was Lamella and Ericsson, probably of those 2 were the players that I think, right, yeah, we got out of it. And we didn't do well with the others. They had some effect, but they weren't really. You know, when you did that, we was expecting, and everybody was I remember that. Everybody was excited. But ultimately,
but the difference is that we had a disgraced technical director from Roma buying those players, you know.
True.
And the difference is that nobody comes in, nobody parks their backside at Hotspur Way on those and the lovely titles at Hotspur Way unless Ange has vetted them. And would you say by and large that his eye for a player and his feeling for a player is right? Do you think he's made a decision on a player which he's got wrong?
Who? Ange? No,
yeah.
I don't, because like he said, he's been involved. He said clearly he has the final say in terms of once everything's been worked out, is the player affordable? Are they able to get him? Blah, blah, blah. Once they've sorted all that out. And I guess from a CEO, chairman perspective, they've said, yeah, right, there's a green light on this one. He says, yeah, that's the player I want. I don't think he's got anything wrong so far. But I can almost see his blueprint of what he's looking for. And the players that at the moment that I think we need, Alexander Isak, and I'm going to use that as an example, may be available from Newcastle for next season. He's a player that I would think hand over fist we should be trying to get. Arsenal linked with him as well. You know, 24 years of age. I think he would fit the system perfectly. You know, he's an upgrade, in my opinion, on Richarlison. Richarlison then would be a very good, and this is what I'm talking about, the quality for quality, would be a good like-for-like replacement, because we've seen the improvements in Richarlison. Now, people say, oh, it's unfair on Richarlison. Oh, you can't bring him in. No. This is what we have to do. This is what you have to do to be able to progress. You have to then say, right, okay, we've got this player, he's improving, but now we're going to bring someone in to make you improve even more, or you're going to fall by the wayside and start sulking. Ndombele is a sulker. We know that sort of player is not what we got. So I'm hoping that they're going to make better decisions with regarding going forward. But yeah, Alexander Isak, for an example, perfect in my opinion if we got him. How much do you think he would cost out of, oh dear, Agent Poch, 2-2. Just to let you know, Sean, Bruno's just equalised for Manchester United.
That's good. That's good. A draw's my favourite score there. Keeps them both in the mud.
It keeps Chelsea in 12th. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but or 11th, whatever they would go up to. But Agent Poch, you could have got yourself up to 7th if you won tonight. Anyway, that's not what we're doing with. Right, so back to the point.
Oh my God, Sheffield United have equalised against Liverpool.
Oh dear me! And that game started at 7:30, didn't it? 7:30 kickoff. Just a few comments here. Kulu has to go and Werner has to be sold. We haven't bought Werner, thank God. So he doesn't have to be sold. He just needs to.
I tell you what, let's go back to Leipzig and say we'll take Danny Olmo. We'll take him instead. Much better player. Spanish international.
Yeah.
Champions League experience.
Yes, I like that. I don't know much about him, but I certainly would rather see him than Timo Werner. And I'm not gonna let me explain myself about the Timo. People are gonna think, oh, it's just a hater. Chelsea ex-Chelsea. No, he's not. He's 27 now, I believe. He's costing us at this moment in time 165k a week. He'll probably cost from Leipzig, unless they make a cut price deal, somewhere between 10 and 15 million. The player's gonna be 27 by the end of next season, 28 possibly. I can't remember what it is. He's an impact player. I've not seen him, and even this goes back to his Leipzig days, his Chelsea days. He can have a good 50 minutes. He may even have a good half, but he's not consistent enough to say, right, yeah, not consistent enough for us to put our faith behind it and think, yeah, he's going to get us 15 goals this season. He's going to get us 10 assists he's not. It's not going to be the case. But I would look at someone like Alexander Isak and think to myself, we're going to get 15 to 20 goals out of him in a team where we're going to create a lot of chances. So we have to be smart in the market. That's my thing about the Timo Werner. But do you agree? Kulu has to go and Werner has to be sold?
I'm not so sure about Kulu. I mean, I think we're hitting a very we're hitting a very non-purple patch for Kulu at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think he's got a lot of credit in the bank. He's actually created more chances for our club this season than anyone else in the squad. He's covered more ground. He's had two really bad games. Well, one bad game one bad half against Luton, and he had a terrible cameo against West Ham. But there are players who would go before, and there's one there, for example, Solomon. He played 5 games or something in total for Fulham last year, and he's not done much more for us this year. You can't rely on a player who can only play 5 games a season.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, you know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Alex is throwing names in here. Here's one that I think is an absolute no chance. Jota. I don't know where I saw Jota. I used to follow Jota up here at Celtic. He's even more brittle than Manor Solomon, as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's not the answer. Just not the answer. What about Dino? Dino's suggestion here.
I like that. I like that. I personally, and there's reasons for it. Ivan Toney, he's 30 now, 31.
I don't know how.
I think he is. Good player. He's obviously in and around the England setup. Can do everything. Score, can assist, holds the ball up, good in the air. Even got a free kick on him. So he's a complete centre forward striker. Can he play in the wide areas? He potentially could. I've seen him, for Brentford, go out into them wide areas depending on the tactics that you employ. But from a standpoint of sell-on value, there is no really. You buy him, you spend whatever you spend, you give him how much he's going to want in terms of wages, and he's not going to come cheap. He's going to command £150,000 a week, I would imagine, at least. And what you get at the end of the day out of him, you get a player that, might get you them 15 to 20 goals. But if we don't win anything, he's got no sell-on value. Now, as I said,
do you know what steers me away from Tony? I don't think he passes Ange's sniff test.
What do you mean by that?
In that, I think he's a bad character to bring into that dressing room.
I got you. I understand. Yeah.
I don't know. There's some. It's just the way he's conducted himself. Sort of post his ban, or in the period leading up to his ban, he should have been a lot more humble than he was, and he should have been thankful to Brentford for standing by him after he's let them down for 8 months.
Yeah,
and yet he was. And of course, the latest I hear is that Arsenal are going to pass on him as well, and he's going to finish up at West Ham,
which would probably make sense because David Moyes would snap him up if he could get. Do you have even Ivan Toney thing? Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. Not you didn't see him. Oh no! I'm just head off the screen. I'll come back to that in a minute.
I say that as a Roma fan. No, don't go there.
I'm gonna come back to that. But no, Tony thing. He just didn't see. I've seen him on a podcast, and they was asking him generally about, because he was found guilty of betting breaches. To me, he didn't even want to take responsibility, accountability that he'd done anything wrong, in a sense. And that for me was like, really? And then you was right. When he came back out and Brentford was saying he's not for sale, we need him. Brentford in the position that they were in, they need Ivan Toney. And then something the manager might have said, something like, every player's got his price. Something, I can't remember what it was. And he almost took it as a bit of an affront. And in an interview, when he was post-match interviewing a game, he kind of like picked up on that and said something against his manager, which kind of led me to believe there was something back and forth. He knows he's going, they know he's going, but be professional about it. You know what I mean? You have to be professional in these situations. Don't make it such that it becomes a harder task for you at a club that's basically giving you your opportunity to be in the big time. Let's just be a bit more humble, because he is going to move next season. We know that. So yeah, the character side of it, I can understand what you're saying from that. So again, I wouldn't be looking at that. Lukaku now, let's go back to that. No, thank you, but no. Your thoughts?
No, I mean, as I say, Roma are my team in Serie A, and he's fine there. He's fine there. I just don't see him. I don't think he's been the same player since he left Everton, if I was being honest. So yeah.
Isak is average. He went for a 10-game spell without scoring. Fair enough. But
I think, Alex, I would have more sympathy with you if you said that, if you pointed to his injury record. He's been injured a lot this season.
Correct.
Now that would be an issue for me. You can't buy a player, especially investing 80 million. I don't know, could be something as high as that, and he's not available for a quarter of the season.
Correct. And I'll give you the stats as well. Erling Haaland, top of the list with 18 goals this season in the Prem. This is just a Prem. Isak, who's joint fifth, along with Son Heung-min, Jared Bowen, is on 15. He's only got 1 assist, so fair enough, but played 22 games. 15 goals in 22 games. Let me tell you, Alex, that's pretty decent. Pretty decent. And he hasn't been there that long. So I'm not going to agree with you on that one. I don't think he's average. I think he's a lot better than average. Anyway, I want Nico Williams and Eze. Nico Williams, yeah. Eze, yeah, again.
Is that the guy from the Spanish guy, Nico Williams, from Athletic Bilbao?
Someone's going to have to, because I don't really know him. I know Eze more so.
Eze improves our squad.
Eze improves our squad, but I think Elise improves it even more. I think he's a little bit above Eze. In my opinion, again, Elise, I like him more. But again, his injury record potentially could be so. Eze's as well. He's had a a little bit of a patchy bit of injuries over the last few seasons. So again, we have to look at that. We've already looked at that. Jota, not 25 minutes for him. Alex is saying, Werner as an impact player, okay, but we need a top quality winner who starts every game. I agree. I don't think Brennan Johnson is that. I think if we get someone above him, Brennan Johnson should be then that next player, 22, 23, pushing him. That's what I think. Another Kulu just doesn't fit the system. The whole fan base are fed up of him now.
No, the whole fan base. I'm part of the fan base. I'm not fed up of him.
I'm not fed up of him because I think he just needs to be redeployed in a position which is going to get the best out of him. Personally, I think he's better off as a number 10 or in behind the strikers.
He's a 10 or an 8. He's not. Yeah. He's just not a winger. Not a winger under Angeball.
No, not under Angeball. Not under Angeball. But there's opportunities for him when, you know, different teams employ different tactics. If you're going to have a team that's not really going to be very aggressive, who's not going to push up too high to allow the spacing behind, who you need a bit of trickery to get behind, I think he's the player in situations, maybe not from the start, but certainly in a game where a team second half might be playing really deep. You might want the trickery of a Kulu. I certainly think he's a valuable member of the squad. Solomon is made of whipped cream. Alex has got a lot to...
That's an insult to whipped cream.
Kane will be back within 4 years. We don't want a 4-year-older Kane to be back with us. I'm sorry, we're not doing another Gareth Bale job here. If Kane was to come back, he needs to come back next season. If that was the case, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Tony needs to score 10 goals a season for us to show interest in him. We don't go for quality strikers that score 20 a season. Danny Levy should buy Osimhen and then sell him for 200 million in 3 to 4 years' time.
Well, how much are we going to have to pay for him?
We're going to have to pay probably 150 million for him because that's what I've been hearing that people are saying. Definitely 100 million plus, and no one's touched him at 100 million. No one's touched him. How comes I can't see anything else in here? Anyone else? There's loads of people here. There's over 50 people watching. Thank you. Put some more comments. If Alex knows there's more people.
Alex is feeling lonely.
He's feeling very lonely. Okay, he's better than average then. Thank you. He's at least better than average. He's got a decent amount of goals here, but Levy would have to pay 80 million. And that, my friend, is where I think we get stuck. I don't think we'll pay the money for him because unless they're forced to sell him a similar way like Forest are forced to sell Brennan Johnson and we get in there first, Arsenal are obviously interested. And I think he would command overseas interest as well. For me, we should be trying to score Watkins, who has 16 goals and 10 assists. Is he just having a purple patch? Not sure. Potentially is. Atletico Bilbao, you're right on that one, Sean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a good player. He's a good player, yeah.
I love Jota. He's brilliant. Technical winger, scored 28 goals and 26 assists for Ange in just 2 seasons in Scotland. Let's not forget. I'm not saying that just to kind of throw that shade in there, but we have to put this into context. We do have to put it into context. That's freaking brilliant for a winger. It is. But it'd be brilliant if he could do it in the Premiership. But we don't know that that's going to be the case. More laughs from Alex. We could have 120 million from it and throw Rodon into to sweeten the deal.
Well, we're going to get money for Rodon. He's on a really good loan. He's well liked at Leeds. There'll be a bit of an auction. You know, he'll be in the Premier League next year, and we'll get some money for him. So that's fine. That's okay. I'm quite happy for that. That goes into the kitty.
Listen, this comment here from Jews Nuts. Which of our players are unsellable? Now, Jews, I was going to say something like this. Eric Dyer, I thought would be unsellable because he was never going. But we've managed to get him to buy. So if we can get him off to buy, we can do anything in the world. Every single player is sellable at our club. I think the next sticky player to get out of the club is going to be Ryan Sessegnon. I don't know anybody who in their right mind would take, in the Premier League, would take him. I think he has.
Yeah, but I think what Jews is asking you, Sam, and asking me presumably as well is
unsellable as in
who definitely stays
okay.
and will be in the team next August.
My misinterpretation. I apologise there, Jews.
I think so.
I think you're right.
You might correct me, yeah?
You might be right. Let's see if he puts anything. Sessegnon's sick note injured every second training session. But Jews, just confirm that what you were saying is who we can't sell. Well, in my opinion, we can't sell Van der Ven. Definitely can't sell him at any cost. Udogi, can't sell him. Sarr, can't sell him. Maddison, can't sell him. I'm going to be controversial here. Romero, I think if we got a good offer, I think we could sell him. Not because I dislike him, but because I still think he could be replaced with a player of equal ability alongside a Van der Ven who has that pace. Now, you might say, well, who would that be? Who would that be? Well, there's defenders out there. Now, I'd have to look through it and have a consideration as to who, but pace is the most significant thing in an Ange defender, as we've seen. So, is Romero the fastest player in the world? Certainly not. If you compare him to Van der Ven, I don't think he's as quick. He's definitely got the brain for a good set. He reminds me of like and it's not the same player, but like a John Terry. All the attributes, but maybe there's a few little things like pace which you might like. I'm not saying he's a slow player, but he's not Van der Ven pace, and I think we need to have that. What do you think? Unsellable players.
Unsellable players. Van der Ven, Son, Maddison.
Not Udogie?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? It depends, how much they offer us,
So therefore, every player must have a price. Therefore,
well, every player does have a price, but I wouldn't want to sell you Udogie. I would keep him.
Yes.
So I mean, but yeah, is Vicario in there? Some people don't like Vicario, especially in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I had my not doubts about him. Obviously, when he first came, there was some things that we had to see. Is he going to improve in certain areas? He's ticked every box in terms of his improvement. Only recently have we seen the kind of uproar about, he's susceptible to set pieces now. He's not coming out for crosses now. Any keeper in their first season, there's going to be some issues that they're going to have to get around in the Premier League. Every single good keeper that we know has gone on to be having a great career has had sticky moments. This is always going to be the case. He will work that out. I think he will work that out in his head. Tactically, they can work it out as a team. How can you protect him, or if they are going to target him?
There are only 2 goals where he's been pressured at a corner that he conceded. Man City in the cup, which to me was still a foul, and Everton in the league game at their Goodison recently.
Yeah,
he certainly wasn't at fault for the goal on Tuesday. That was defenders going missing, missing and not doing their job. So
that was a free header, basically a free header he got.
It was a free header, yeah, and that was he was at no way at fault for that. And I thought he dealt with the other corners. I do wish he'd spend some time with Pat Jennings, and Pat Jennings would tell him what to do. Pat Jennings knew, I'll catch that ball, I'll catch it, or I'll punch it away. It's not going in. But I'm more. Yeah, so I would probably have Vicario on my list of unsellables at the minute. We do need a new number 2.
I agree with that. The reason I think he's unsellable. Yeah, I agree. And the reason I'll say that, not because we couldn't necessarily get a better keeper long term, is because I think with a keeper, you need to have that transitional period. It's very, very, and if you get it wrong with the keeper and he can't then cope with the pressures or whatever it is, it's tough. It's going to be hard, because your number 2 then is going to have to come in and replace him. And you don't necessarily, unless you do an Arsenal where they've got David Raya and obviously, what's his name? The fishing Ramsdale. Then you're in a position where your number 2 is a bit of a drop off. So I'm keeping Vicario. He's had that 1 year experience. I think he'll be a better keeper next year, and I don't think we'll get better to come in for their first year, if that makes sense to anybody that's listening or wants to listen. Bruno up Newcastle may have to be sold. Does he fit in the squad?
Good player.
I'd have to think about that one, because I haven't really watched him close enough to know what he does. I know he's a talent, but with Eddie Howe, he has different tacticals. He changes how he plays.
Newcastle are on a sticky wicket because in spite of the fact they have all that money to burn, they can't spend it. They can't spend it, and they've made a massive error with Tonali. They've wasted a lot of money on Tonali.
Yeah, nowhere to be seen. Alex Scott, we need to be spending 50 million. And that's the figure I kind of use. 200 million upwards. Significant input into the playing staff. 4 to 6 players is what I'm thinking once you've got rid of. And Adrian Potts has done it again. No, it's not. Is that nice half-time stuff? They scored. It's just the half-time highlights. 2-2 story, by the way, people. Between Chelsea and Man United. 250 million would be somewhere that would get us 4 to 6 players based on what Andrew said, in not spending £100 million on one player. So, yeah, kind of agree. Mr. Hurl. That's it. I think we can get off now to watch the second half of Agent Poch against Manchester United. Should be good.
Do I have to? I should be packing for my holiday, but I thought you've now got me kind of wanting to see the was it the Muddico, not instead of the Classico, the Muddico, Chelsea and Man United. But
just quickly, sorry, I was going to quickly touch on what Alex was saying. What do you think of the list of players? Braithwaite, I agree. Again, Williams, I don't know much about him. Eze, I would definitely take. Henderson, Vlahovic, I'm not so sure on Vlahovic. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
He plays in fits. He scores in fits and starts. He looks like he's got Juventus into the Coppa Italia final, but I'm not sure about him.
There's some players that do well in certain leagues. I think he does well in Italian leagues. He looks like an Italian league type player. I might be wrong. I don't know for sure. But it's a similar thing with Lukaku. Lukaku playing in Italy, when he was in Italy, was fantastic. I even think in Spain he's looking half decent. But in the Prem, it's a different kettle of fish. I think you need that something else.
Yeah, I think that Lukaku's days are gone. I think who was it? I think it was Alex put in Jonathan David, the French plays for Lyon. I think he's quite a good player, but again, that's only from other people talking about him. I haven't seen him, so look at time on holidays and don't think about Tottenham.
You're being told to have a good holiday, Sean.
I'll try to have a good holiday, but I can never not think about Tottenham. In fact, I'm going to see my cousin, and he's the other one, the other season ticket sitting next to me. So there's no way that we're not going to. Bit of news here. Breaking news from Dino.
Dino again, breaking news on the show. I'll read it out. British billionaire Joe Lewis, 87. I'm reading it in a newscaster's voice there. I'm going to start again. British billionaire Joe Lewis, 87, was sentenced to 3 years off probation Thursday after pleading guilty to insider trading. No jail time then.
Oh, he's 87 for God's sake.
So, oh God, if you've done wrong, you got to go to jail, man. People go to jail for less than that. I like Jonathan David. He's got fast pace and can be got for around 50 million. Again, don't know enough about him to kind of say. Sure. Final thoughts, final words. Based on what we've talked about, I guess.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is we've agreed on a figure, 250 million to be spent. We've got problems because our home developed numbers are not good. Our home developed will affect us. If we don't get enough players, it means that we lose a foreign player when they go into UEFA competition. So there are things, there are definitely plates to be spun. Balls to be juggled. But yeah, if that's the figure, if someone's going to put in £1 billion into Tottenham, that's a quarter of that in one transfer window. Yeah. If that happens, then yeah, we should be in the top 4. I want to see us back in the top 4. I want to see us, having a go at the top end of the table. But I also want to see us winning a blooming FA Cup.
Oh God, that more than anything, I just hope they take all competitions seriously next season. I don't want to.
Sorry, I'm reading another one of Alex's classics here. Did you see his girlfriend, who was one of the insider traders? She was 40 years old. Not bad for an 8-year-old man.
If you're getting tap-ins and you're 87 from a 40-year-old, you're doing all right. You're doing all right. I'm telling you that. I ain't got nothing but respect for Joe.
So what attracted you to the 87-year-old billionaire Mazet?
His eyes. It was his eyes.
His eyes.
Come on.
His eyes, yeah.
Fucking hell. It's a funny thing. Really, really, really funny. We need to get a proper striker, and Tony, for me, is the best striker in the league after Haaland. That could be debated, but we're not going to debate that today. Take that off.
No, we can't.
Even though it's after 9 o'clock, we shouldn't be putting things like that out. We might have children watching, even on catch up. Alex, I think it's his massive wallet more so than that.
Anything else?
Yeah. I think we're going to be doing a preview show tomorrow for the not in the first.
Now hold on a second. I've got to clarify this. We're not okay for the foreign quota thing, because if we don't have homegrown players, we lose one of our foreign quota when it comes to UEFA. So it's not as straightforward as that. One good thing is that Papa Sarr becomes homegrown. So that's another one who's unsellable.
See, he knows his stuff about this foreign quota. So DYOR. That's it, I think. Go and watch the second half. See if Chelsea or Man United can get a victory. I'd rather Chelsea win, probably, but a draw would be the great result, as you've already said, Sean. We're okay by 3 players. Start counting off at us.
Well, Kylian Mbappe would be quite a good addition, would he not?
Definitely, I'd have him. That's it, Sean. Thank you very much. Enjoy your holidays. If we do not get on a stream beforehand, I don't know if you're available tomorrow for the preview, but if not, enjoy your holes, my friend.
I will indeed.
You'll catch us back here tomorrow. Me and Sid at some point, maybe it's in the afternoon. But we'll be discussing, previewing the Nottingham Forest game, so look out for that. And then obviously the reaction show next week. And we'll do some more talking points next week, I guess, a week off, whenever it's going to be. Make sure you smash a like, subscribe to the channel, comment, share, everything around. As we always do, thank you for watching. Thank you all. Thank you from PRTv, Paxton Road TV Spurs. I'm finding the music. It's not been the most professional, so I apologize for the start. If you are watching from the start, skip about 2 minutes in because there's no sound. There is no sound. It's just very strange.
I'm good.
It's so fucking strange. But yeah, it's weird when you just can't see it. You just chat. Ooh, you can't hear. Anyway, enough rambling. We're done. Thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs. See you soon.
More development.